Okay, we are live.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything in the list there.
He was here earlier.
Yes.
Is Michael coming and Lisa?
No, I'll start reading anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the script for remotely conducted and hybrid open meetings for the town of Nantucket. Public participation guidelines. We are using Zoom for this meeting. Zoom has the capability to allow the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request that members of the public provide their names for the purposes of keeping accurate minutes of the meeting. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to the meeting. The registration link can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for the meeting. Attendees will join in listening mode. They can click the raise hand button if they wish to speak. The chair will also call on those who have raised their hands in the order they were raised. All questions should be directed through the chair. As a preliminary matter, my name is Susan McCarthy and I serve as the Chair of the Board of Appeals. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lisa Botticelli. Here. Jim Mondani.
Here.
Mark Poor.
It's not out there.
Okay. And we're waiting for John. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Leslie Snell.
Here.
Nikki Sheriff.
Here.
William Saab.
Here.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. John Chesia.
Here.
Don Bracken.
Don's not going to be here today. This is Ryan Maxwell from
Okay.
Don's office.
Okay. Paul Haverty. Yeah.
I can't hear Paul. But he's there.
Yeah.
So.
And Mirka Ahern.
Yes, I'm here.
And is that who's on workshop APB?
Kelsey Odom, Workshop APD. Yes.
And George Pucci.
I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. I think that was it. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Town of Nantucket Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely or hybrid pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such public participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Board of Appeals is convening in person and by video conference via the Zoom app, as posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Some attendees are participating by video conference. Be aware that other attendees and viewers may be able to see you. Do not screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to the members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless we note otherwise. Now, we are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call votes. So I don't have a copy of the agenda, or is it just the meeting post?
Okay, one side.
I mean, I don't really need one, I guess. It's just this one.
It's the same as the meeting posting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same.
Okay, so I'll call to order. Can we do it with only 3 to start? Should we wait for John? All right. I'll call to order this meeting of the Town of Nantucket Board of Appeals. this June 26th at 12:18. Would someone make a motion to approve the agenda as drafted?
So moved.
And second? Jim?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So I'll do a roll call vote for, to approve the agenda. Myself, I, Lisa,
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Okay. So the meeting minutes, what,
we have it? We do.
I think we have three, yeah. So, for the minutes, did anyone have any comments? Did anyone have a chance to read them? Should we
Should we
wait?
wait till we have
till-
the board?
Okay. Yeah, because I'd like Michael and,
So to read their comments and make sure they were.
yeah, and I think. Yeah, Alicia too or something. Okay, so we'll hold off on doing the minutes until we can do it Thursday. Okay,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, sorry. Was then. All right, so moving on to the next, to continue our discussion about the site review, we have the draft. Or first draft rather of a letter to the developer. So I went through my notes and these were the things that I had in there.
Yeah, I
but
wanted to add a couple, I wanted to add the roof material clarification.
I thought I had that in here. It was in my,
I didn't see it, but maybe I'm,
it was in my notes I sent over, but.
okay.
So
The roof material is being approved as asphalt.
you know what I put in here? I put my notes.
And that, and just clarification that they will need to go back to the HPC for solar.
So I had.
Like, where you want me to add what you said?
Well, I don't know how these are numbered. Whatever number it needs to go under, there was some
Hold on, let me look here.
comment about.
Here, it was just a
HPC.
general concern. Was on, general concern regarding the metal seam roof / standing seam light gray, not typical of Nantucket. Or HDC certificates of appropriateness, CA 500, like not C, but SEE. See page A 500 finish schedule. And then exhibit 4 conflicts with the building permits plan on page 7, the roof material showing the metal seam roof. I think Mark had pointed that out last time.
Yeah. And I think there was also a, you could put it in order too, where Leslie brought up the provision where it specifies that any changes from these plans have to go back to the HGC, and I don't remember what provision that was.
No.
I'm kind of looking right now.
Was it 127?
No, I think it's earlier on.
Maybe 25 or 27?
I'll find it.
Okay. Jim, did you have any comments on the letter?
Oh.
Oh, you have more? Okay,
I
sorry.
knew
All right, all right, let's go through Lisa's and then,
Excuse me, Nikki's going to edit the letter as we go along.
oh, perfect, okay.
Yeah, and I think the thing that Mark brought up was that and I can't remember what schedule letter it was that had been submitted to HAC, did not show any metal roofing in it. It showed only asphalt. So that should definitely be shown, discussed in the letter.
I think it was exhibit 4,
Okay,
which was the one. Exhibit 4 is the
Yeah.
one that was submitted to HAC.
that's right, to HAC, that shows the renderings. In that, there were no metal seam roof noted. It shows up in the later permit set. The only other thing is, as the parking, I think I was just saying to Billy, like, in my opinion, is concerned that the parking plan is insufficient, strong enough. Wording, I'm more than concerned.
Okay.
That there's not enough parking. 299 spots. 10 of those are community. That leaves 289, 19 for the studios. That leaves 270 for 137 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. That's less than 2 per unit.
Mhm.
It's just insufficient. So my only point is that I think is concerned is not a strong enough terminology. I understand there's nothing we can say about it, but
We can say the parking is. not-
just say
It's
the
not
board
adequate.
believes the parking is inadequate. Based on the density, I guess. And it's even, is it less than what you, let's see, what was the difference? Where does the math add up? Why do we get to 270 and then you had 244?
Well, there's 20.
It's 299 and you minus 10 for the community building spaces. That leaves you 289. Minus 19, that leaves you 270. You said that somewhere there's 274 listed for. number of
I was just-
spaces.
I was literally just basing that on the, I believe on exhibit 4, they lay out. I think it was exhibit 4, they lay out the number of parking spaces per bedroom units. Or per
Exhibit 4.
It's right here. I have that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay.
It's all right.
You missed the most exciting stuff.
So Lisa, you felt the parking is inadequate, and you say based on density?
Yes,
Okay,
I mean, that's just me. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
yeah, I'm just driving on road.
Yeah.
Basically.
Here are the parking spaces provided. And this was a breakdown of all the units.
What are you looking at?
Page 3 of exhibit 4.
What are the total number of bedrooms?
283.
It's just in our stuff.
You'd say there's
Not
one
for
per
today.
bedroom, but. I think that. Certainly in a 1 bedroom, I think there's a good chance that there's 2 people in there.
Yeah.
One
So
bedroom apartment.
What should the total number be, you think, versus what it is?
Well, can I mean, should I say that or just say I don't think it's adequate?
I'm just want for myself.
What are they required? Did we give them parking waivers? Are they required? I thought they have one, it says here there's 1.06 spaces per bedroom.
Right, no, that might be what's. I mean, I think practically speaking, that's not sufficient.
Yeah, no, I agree, but what's required, what's the requirement?
Well, I'm trying to look up what we just approved at town meeting, which
Wasn't
was a
that
technical
0.7?
amendment, so I don't have it handy.
Yeah,
But it was 0.75 per bedroom for duplexes, which I would say these are most like a duplex. So that would require 212 parking spaces.
But I mean, I even think that that's insufficient. I personally didn't agree with that thing at town meeting because it's basically saying. We're gonna get rid of parking so you can have more building, but that just puts more cars on the road that don't have sufficient parking. Yeah, so I was, not in favor of that amendment because of that, for that reason. Because I just don't think it's practical. I understand the intent of it is to allow you to get more bedrooms built, but that just means more cars, so you need to provide more parking. And reducing the parking requirement, I think in the end ends up. Being an issue, so I wouldn't base it on that new zoning bylaw personally. I just think it's insufficient. I think most of those one-bedroom units will likely have two people in them to afford them.
Mhm.
And then two bedrooms, might have three. They might, you don't know, and it just doesn't seem sufficient. I know that's been a big issue at Richmond. And, but again, I don't think there's anything we can do about it if it's been approved, but I just, I think it is concerned. It's a very limp way of saying that we think it's not sufficient.
We can just say it's not sufficient.
To say, Madam Chair, through you. Do we have to indicate, and I agree with you, Lisa, I think it's worth noting that. We think there are going to be parking issues. And so the question is, do we have to, as part of this letter, say what we think is appropriate, or just say we don't think it's enough? And we're in compliance with things, but not that as far as we're concerned.
I don't think we need to say what we think would be sufficient. I think we
Okay.
can just say that it's not adequate for the size.
Okay.
of the thing. What do you guys, I mean, unless you want to, I mean, I don't.
No, I don't,
I don't
I don't know
know.
how to come up with that figure.
Right.
It all depends on the use and how expensive the units are, how many bedrooms need to be rented to help
Yeah.
them make their mortgage. It's a theoretical thing. I don't know.
I
how to
just, right, this
quantify
number
it.
just seems too low, no matter what.
No matter how you slice it, I think it's too low.
Yeah.
And I am concerned about illegal parking on the road. That's going to block traffic flow because the roads aren't wide enough. And I think that should be noted too, because I think it's gonna happen and. It's just gonna have to be something that they figure out how to deal with. There was something in here too that I said that no parking can be increased without coming back to the board. Let's see, that's something. Obviously, I'm all in favor of increasing parking,
And then there was some.
but that
I
means
think-
decreasing building size because I'm not in favor of increasing non pervious material.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
And there's no parking on the streets right now.
no. And the roads aren't wide enough to take it.
Mhm. I mean, I think that the parking should be. I think is the biggest concern that we have. The rest seem.
Well, and I think the parking also came into play with where Michael had pointed out where the dumpsters were.
Right,
And that those parking spaces are in essence not going to be usable.
right, for some amount of time.
Well, we don't know when the garbage is gonna be picked up or how often, so, it's all part and parcel of how the development has been planned vehicularly and, yes.
And-
Seems like it would behoove them to have more parking.
Agreed.
Okay, so do you want to add in here? Comment, because it's not specific to a condition that, you're concerned about the number of, well, I guess it is 13E, that
Yeah.
you're, concerned that the parking is insufficient based on the number of bedrooms, based on the location of the dumpsters, which needs to be, I'm just we'll work on this wording here. Based on the location of the dumpsters, which you've requested be increased. And the fact that there's no on-street overflow space available. Okay, so we'll work something.
There's no visitor part, I mean, there's 10 visitor spaces. Right, so even if a one bedroom unit. Has only one person in it, but they want to have a person over for dinner, where does that person park?
Yeah, I know.
On South Shore Road and walk in,
Can you park on South Shore Road?
I don't know,
I don't think you can.
but nobody's gonna do that.
No,
People are
nobody's-
inherently lazy, they're gonna just park.
Yep.
Somewhere around this
Street.
street. Yeah, so that's a big concern for me. So I don't even, and again, I feel like concerned is not, I guess it's. Maybe it is enough of a word.
Well, we don't have to say, I mean, it's evident it's evident that it's in the letter that we're concerned, right? So we can just cross out the board is concerned that the parking and just say the parking plan is insufficient based on the data provided. Right, the concern is like, it's. Doesn't need to be said, because the whole point of the letter is these are our concerns.
Yeah.
right? So you're,
Yeah.
I think you're right, it just can be strong, it doesn't need that intro.
Well, I mean, we could say that, maybe we could say that the board feels that, there should be more. Maybe parking allowed on the street. No, never mind.
I don't think
Can't
we
get into
need-
that,
I don't think
because
we
then
need
it's
to-
Like, then
I
one
think-
has to go to allow the.
I think
streets
we
to go.
just say, we don't have to give them a solution, we just have to say it's if
Agreed.
based on. Everything we've seen, other developments on the island and the use, it's insufficient.
The density, I would say, yeah.
So.
And we don't want to say we are concerned about fire safety access into the development, given that situation.
We don't want to say that.
I'm asking if we do want to add that in.
I think we can, I mean.
I would say that.
Because there's, like, there's only one in and out. And there's no, they don't, do they have an access road like Satcham's Path does for an
I don't think so.
emergency? They
No.
don't, right?
So I think we should note that we are very concerned with the access for
I think we
emergency
say we
vehicles.
continue to be, because that's been a concern for years.
Has the fire chief approved everything?
I think you did.
He think he did,
Yeah.
and he worked with their consultant on
So
it.
where do we have that?
That was in a letter someplace, I
Let
think.
me see, I think I have it. I have
But
it.
again, that's assuming there aren't any cars on the street that are illegally parked.
The fire report was in last week, last meeting's packet.
Okay. that was it.
You know, what page?
If you had the table. contents.
Here,
But it's table of contents is at the front, so.
Oh, yeah.
So page 142.
So have you typed in something? Concerns about parking? Oh, okay, so you didn't type in what Susan said.
What did you say?
What did you say, Susan?
About what?
The parking?
The parking? Oh, no, I just said that, I just,
142 is their consultants, do we have our fire departments sign up?
Oh,
the only thing I have from the fire department,
I thought I saw a letter, an email from him, but maybe I didn't.
I just have. For the fire.
I was there. From Chief Cranston.
He said it was something-
It needs to be. I don't know how you can- Chief.
I have an email from May 3rd from Michael Cranston saying that Captain Townsend has the plans and he is in the process of reviewing them. Code Red consultant for the applicant is meeting with the fire department and the applicant was confident they could meet whatever the concerns were, but that's the last thing I have. And then I have another note up at the top that says fire in the process of reviewing, and then I have a little note that says most concerns addressed, but that was both of those comments were from the applicant, not from the fire department. I know the fire department was here, like one of the first meetings.
Yeah, I don't know why don't we have anything from the fire department? I mean, do we just? They were.
I think we
supposed to be
need
here.
that, yeah.
It would be a good idea. I mean, if you guys track down safe or. I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
Well, they have.
I mean, if you want me to track it down, I'll track it down. But I don't see anyone getting this information. Are you concerned about?
Who are you talking to? Are you talking to the staff right now?
Yeah, talk to staff, yeah.
I think they have been tracking
I'm
it, Janet.
sorry, Susan, don't, I'm talking to staff.
No, I mean, I know you weren't talking to me, but you, it's.
So you
well,
find it satisfactory? Is that what you're saying, the May 3rd?
No, no, I'm not saying it's- Jim, I don't, what,
I
you've gone like
don't
0 to
know why.
100 right now.
Because I think fire safety is important,
And-
don't you?
I did for it. I thought
Okay,
I don't just said you, Nikki said she maybe, maybe I misheard. I thought you said you had some email.
So
I
it would
don't
be-
remember
yes,
seeing it.
that's fine.
It would
but
be-
You need to address.
Of course we do.
Yeah,
And I think
So
what
we have 2
happens
days.
is. We get a May 3rd letter, no one shows up, we forget about it. And nothing's in there.
Jim,
That-
We're talking about it right
I know, but
now.
we only have 2 days. I think that's this point. Now we have 2 days to resolve this.
Well,
We're talking about it now.
So anyway,
yeah,
anyway,
I think this, that should be
that's gotta
a
be
major
resolved.
concern.
It is,
Why
it's been-
wasn't included is unacceptable.
it's been a major concern since the first plan we saw, I
So
feel.
should it be in, should it be in this letter?
Yeah, 100% it should be in there.
And thank God. I thought about it, because if I didn't think about it, it'd never be included in here.
Yeah, so we should put that in the letter. If we don't have their approval, we have to say that we need that approval.
So there's no reason why there's supposed to.
So
be
this
less
says,
fire chief.
this says addressing the comments provided by the Nantucket Fire Department on May 9th, 2023. Do we have a copy of what the fire?
But then
Department.
these came
So
in
that's
after.
my frustration, like, here we are.
No, I get why you're frustrated.
Fix it.
Attorney Haverday. Do you have a copy of this, or whatever was sent to your fire consultant code red from our fire department on May 9th that we don't have?
Madam Chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was a little bit worried I was never going to be able to get through. I can certainly look through and see what I have in terms of that communication. I know we forwarded the code red response to you. I don't know if I have the letter from the fire department or not, but I will get it forwarded to you.
Okay.
Every meeting we talk about the code red response.
So you're gonna
Every
get,
meeting, we don't have a response from our.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that after their response will be based on the code red memo of May 17th, which is the last piece of information we've seen. That shows us sweep path analysis. The 50-foot access to entry doors, all that stuff. That's gonna be what the fire department's approval is based on. There's so much stuff going back and forth, it's just really hard for us to keep track of the chicken before the egg.
They had it May 3rd.
But then this is post May 3rd.
They got what I see here is
May
May
17th.
9th,
So,
May 9th, our fire department delivered something to code red. May 17th, code red
Right,
replied, and then June 6th, we got a letter with the May 17th thing, and that was at our June 13th
when you say we got a letter, meaning,
meeting. We got this on June 6th, we got this that included the
Yeah,
May
yeah.
17th.
right, but we don't have the letter from the fire department.
No, so that I was just doing the timing. That's
Yeah.
how we got to wherever we are, June
So that needs
26th.
to be in the letter, most definitely.
And I'm reaching out to them right now.
For you, Madam Chair,
Sure.
can our legal counsel pipe in on this? Do we need to get a response
Sure.
from them?
George, are we, I don't want to be required, but. Do we have to get a response from the fire department? In order to move forward, or the date tolls anyway, regardless of whether we have response from that?
Yeah, you'll just have to, see what happens if you let it go, if you're waiting for a response. I don't know, what is the exact response you're waiting for from the fire department? Was anything sent to them?
What do you mean by see what happens?
Well, you're asking me what you can do if you still want to wait for something to happen.
Well,
So I guess,
yeah,
You
I'm
would
sorry,
just-
maybe I asked the question wrong. I think what Jim is asking, maybe Jim, you should just ask him directly, but. I think what I heard Jim say was. Are we required, or is the fire department required to respond and weigh in on fire safety?
I think so.
it depends on, in the end, is there something that required their sign off in terms of the final plans?
Well, there
I
was
mean, you have to
something-
go by the conditions of the permit.
Right.
There are a number of conditions in the permit that I assume were not overturned by HAC that talk about, final review.
Mhm.
So it would have to fall within that. In other words, they can't weigh in and give you new evidence on issues that they may be thinking of now.
Well, things
But if
like-
there's something in the final plans that requires a sign off from the fire department, then it
Yeah.
would make sense to ask them. I just don't know, I can't answer it in the abstract.
Well, one, for example, is turning analysis, so.
Where did
This
that
was like
fall?
came up, you wanted an emergency exit or concerned about that, but the fire trucks can't turn around.
Well, that's,
I think it'd be
I thought they addressed, I thought
49.
the fire department, I thought they addressed the turning radius and I thought that
well,
was.
that's within the May 17th plan, but again, has that gone to the fire department to have them approved?
It's been addressed by the developers.
It's been addressed, yeah,
So,
by Code Red, but has this gone to our fire department to approve,
Confirm, well,
to confirm?
I don't know.
I just reached out to fire prevention officer Joe Townsend, who was working on this, and Chief Cranston, and asked if they could please verify that they completed their review. So I just have to see what they say, but
Okay.
I know that they were working on it, and there's a lot of moving parts here to your technical review, so.
So can we just put a pin in something in the letter that says that just in case things don't get, so that things don't get crossed,
I think that,
that we need approval from the fire department? I just wanted to get in the document.
I definitely think it makes sense noting that's
Yeah.
ongoing.
I think that regardless of whether the fire, if the fire department comes back and says, yeah, we don't have, they met all our concerns or it's adequate,
Yeah, I'm still
whatever.
gonna put the note.
I
in.
still want it in the letter
Yeah.
that we have concerns because
Absolutely.
that has been a concern of ours
I-
and for a lot of people from the very
I
get-go.
totally agree with that can follow under as part of the parking issue,
I mean,
our
I think,
concerns, but then, but listing specifically that the
Yeah.
fire department needs to sign off on these plans that the developer has provided.
I don't think
all
we
those
can- I
I don't
conditions
think
that
we
have
can,
been
because it's a
addressed should be-
condition in here.
If it's in the condition, but otherwise, right.
It is,
Okay.
it is a condition. Jim just brought up one of them, 49 or
Okay.
Well, I
47.
think everyone that hasn't been reviewed by. Should be addressed specifically, not just, well, we don't like the plans.
Is it possible to get somebody in the staff to go through each of these conditions and make sure they've been addressed,
Yeah.
list by list?
And
Confirming John Chesia's comments versus Don Bracken's. I mean, I just have so many copies of this. I just don't. It would be helpful if somebody could just. You guys did at one point when you took John Chesia's information, I think you did a response. I think it was maybe 2 meetings ago, I can't remember, but maybe if we could just do that and say, okay, item 46 has not been addressed because we don't have the fire chief's response. Or whatever number that was that Jim brought up, just because that's the only way I think that we can check each of these off, because everybody's keeping separate lists and.
Mhm.
It's 49 true.
Right. Unfortunately,
And some might be addressed, but
yeah, we just can't remember.
we can put something together for you.
Okay, I think you had done one a while back that maybe can just. Well, actually you should go, not even with John Chesia's comments, I think you should go through every single item. Take this document and. Some of you might just say not applicable because,
I agree with you, Lisa. This should have been done 2 months ago. Or
that should have been continued to be updated, I think.
Mhm.
It would just make it easier. Because what happens when we have to read this letter and like try to remember what's not in here,
Yeah,
which is really
Well,
hard.
no, so the letter came from.
No, I know that.
The
You
letter
would
came
take it
from,
notes.
no, I'm just saying like, how the letter came to be was. I just went through all of my notes and then
Right.
as things and whatever, I just took these notes for me.
Well, that's what
I
I'm saying,
mean,
it would just be helpful if somebody,
but I'm just saying like these were just notes
These
that
were the-
I had of things that were concerns and some of them were addressed, so we started out with this really long list, but then it, culled down every meeting. And these were the ones that were still, from my notes anyway, active.
okay.
But
so
yeah,
we'll get-
I think we can say, sorry, Jim, what was it, 49 through 50, whatever.
And all this was tabled at a meeting because we didn't have the.
Information, and now it's gonna
information.
fall. to
That's
the
why
cracks.
we don't have the
Right.
little discussion points. We should have gone into it in depth like we did the Rilo. Where we discussed it, but we didn't have.
Mhm.
But that didn't really are.
For the fire, you mean?
Yeah, I'm just
That's
worried
right.
about, there's other stuff that we've.
Yeah. So,
So it sounds like the staff will go through this decision and then each number will tell us where they stand.
That's pretty much been done, but we can update that. You have the comments from Chesia, which went through every single condition.
I know, I'm just wondering if you guys can put it all into one document, because I have multiple copies of John Chesia, then Don Bracken has responded, and I just want somebody to go through one document and say, this was addressed by Chesia, Bracken provided this. The board's appears to be, comfortable with this, just so that we can go through every single point. And look at it and say, okay, yeah, we signed off on that. We got all the information we needed.
Yeah, and I want to point out that since our initial decision, and since probably the hack decision, we had a major fire in town. And we got to see the results of, unfortunately, what happens to close by buildings and fire department access and all that, so. I mean, it's even a more enhanced concern, I think. Since that, and that's why I want to make sure our fire department signs off on it.
so I think that we should definitely include language in the letter about our concerns, our ongoing concerns about fire safety, access, both in the area of where we're talking about the parking being insufficient and in general. And then,
It's under 49E, certainly where it says. Oh, the fire department access, let's see,
I mean,
49E F. Definitely. Address the fire department, so that those should be added into the letter, in addition to our. Conceptual concern that it's just insufficient, even if the fire department says it is sufficient, I would just still voice that it's insufficient given the potential problems with parking.
mhm.
And Leslie, were you able to find that HGC one?
Oh, I got distracted with something else.
It's pretty early.
It is early and it took me a while to find it the last time. It's tucked in with something.
Yeah, it just says that applicants.
So what's this that I have here?
And that was in your original decision, I believe, or was it in the?
It was definitely in, well,
Well, so you want to add a reference to that condition relative to the roof materials?
and going back
And
for
solar.
solar.
Was solar on exhibit 4,
No,
but it's on the building.
they talked about why they wanted to use metal roofing in the last.
Yeah, because of the
And my only comment was that, in my experience, and maybe it'll be different on this, with other buildings, they require,
Here's, did I take that by mistake?
that's not my, they do. They require black roofs with solar panels. And that's why I think it should be requested and approved before they order roofing material. Because I don't want it to come to the point of, well, we've already ordered the roofing material. So, you know, it would be so much better if it had solar, but the material is already ordered and it's light gray. And then they'll get away with putting huge solar panels on lightweight roofs.
Okay, I have a list here. I don't have a date on it, but. I have a list here that has a bunch of. What's required by our permit, unaltered by the hack decision, but still missing.
Where did that come from?
It was in it's in a letter, from the council for the land council. But just,
Where's that?
I don't know, it was in something, I pulled it out, I have it in my.
This one's
my
in the
folder
packet.
to review. Huh? It was in, yeah, it was in the packet.
That was on one under Leonard.
So anyway, I think it might be helpful to read through this.
So is that this one?
Uh,
Yeah, I found it. It's page 1, it's page 51 of probably the original packet, Jim.
Okay, so just number 1 says soil testing for stormwater, page 18, condition 40. The note says before the building permit. Something late. Is this your writing?
That is my writing.
Final construction plans with data required by local subdivision regs, not applicable. Final construction plan and calcs in compliance with DEP stormwater handbook. Funding for review of final plans. SWPP plan, which is inner plan set. O&M plan for stormwater system operation, we addressed that. Fire department access plan, hydraulic study was in the plan set. Sewer department review and approval, that's done now. Sewer drawings to be provided in AutoCAD. Provided when approved. O&M plan for the sewer pump station, later if necessary. HOA docs for common infrastructure prior to NUCO. Copies of approvals from state and federal agencies, partially complete. Mass will be done before the building permit. Review of final plans includes building code review, which is in the plan set, monitoring and regulatory agreements prior to building permit. NPDES permit not required, construction schedule, we just got that this morning. Easement for sewer and water later if needed, to be determined. Fire approval of roadway and parking in progress. Fire department and water approval of hydrant locations. I think the water department has approved, fire department is in progress. Recording subdivision, that's subdivision NA, and HOA declaration. Budget, covenants, easements, restrictions, condo docs, all that stuff is later prior to the CO. Engineered easement plan with narrative is not applicable. Form J, we don't need to do because it's not a subdivision. And payment of traffic mitigation, $200,000 is prior to building permit.
Have that been done?
Well, it's prior to the building permit.
No, I know that, but they're looking to get building permits. Has that been completed?
Which one was that?
That 200,000 for the traffic mitigation.
They haven't applied for building permit yet, so.
Okay.
Can we just make that on our note that that has to be taken care of before Paul issues the permit? Just so that he's aware of that?
Sure, but the whole. Our letter, I think, should, like, I don't think we need to put in. Everything that's. Every condition that hasn't been met, because they're all going, they have to be met.
I'm just trying to make it easy for Paul, because
But there was a difference in the amount, wasn't there?
no, that was sewer, that was sewer.
Oh,
Yeah,
This thing, I'm just trying to make it easy for Paul, because I wouldn't, I mean, you know, that it's hard for him to know that condition 39. Page 39, condition 147 says before he releases the permit, this payment of $200,000 has to be met. Who's gonna police that if he doesn't remember it? So it should be in the letter so that he has it as his check mark.
Okay.
What condition is that? Lisa?
It says on this condition 147. I haven't verified that that's what it is, but that's what this
Really?
letter says.
I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff that has to happen before the building
Yeah.
permits are issued. And he's gonna be coming in to check with, Billy and me before,
Yeah, I just,
I mean, like. It's part of us
Yeah.
all being in the same building.
147. I
Well,
just,
maybe,
I think,
maybe I guess it would be helpful as a person that I had a list of what needs to be, that what you guys need to check for before permits get issued, because I don't really understand what that list is. And I'd like to understand what that information is. Because it's not, there's just,
but you'd have to go through and just highlight.
right, that's what I'm
Every
asking
single
the staff to
step.
do. That's what I'm asking the staff to do that.
On condition 98, there are conditions preceding commencement of the project, so. That have been fulfilled for the decision and to the satisfaction of the board, so. I think if there is some type of checklist. To make sure we're.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't think having a checklist is a bad idea. There's just so much information in this.
So you want, okay, so you want the staff to put together a checklist for themselves and
I
Paul
want the
and
staff to go
us.
through this whole thing, all 150 something, whatever the number of conditions are,
Mhm.
and just below each one, say this one's been met. This one will be reviewed by the staff prior to an issuance of a building permit. This one still needs more information.
Okay, so just an update
Yeah,
on status. Okay.
Yeah, there clearly there are conditions. Proceeding to issuing that initial building permit, so. We want to see,
yeah.
along with a list of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
with all the other-
Mhm.
Madam Chair, through you to staff, along the same lines, I'm looking at the letter and we mentioned this in bullet point 97. That there are conditions preceding, some of which are like town accessible easements. Who's going to review that on the town side?
The easement,
Yeah.
that one is George Pucci.
George,
Yeah.
okay, and like the plans, I mean, the maintenance plan or stormwater management, is that gonna go through Chesia again, or? So if they then say, okay, here's our phasing plan, here's our stormwater management plan, here's our landscape plan. Will anybody in X staff say, okay, that works, or hey, that's not gonna fly at all?
I think this is the end of your review.
I know.
Our review, we're talking about staff.
Yeah,
But
but
where's
where's,
our-
I mean, like Paul, like, is Paul gonna say, hey, I don't, this stormwater plans, that's not gonna work, guys.
I
No,
think it's
I
the
mean, it's not-
same, wouldn't it be the same process it would be for other large projects of this size, who reviews it?
Usually they submit it, their engineer stamps it, submits it, here's what we're going to do. We accept it, it goes in the file.
So nobody really reviews anything.
I mean, this is something that's engineered and stamped by a credentialed person, but if you all want to continue to pay Chesia to review things out of,
No, it was more so just a question from,
plus budget, then we can,
it's more so just a question from what Paul, or again, if Paul doesn't agree with something with.
I mean, I don't want to speak for the building commissioner,
Yeah.
but I'm 99% sure he's not going to be reviewing
Okay.
operation management plans, and it's totally outside of his purview as, reviewing
And
things for
some of
building codes.
these, if I'm not mistaken. Probably get confirmed when the CO is issued, right? So they're an issue. I'm not all of them,
Yeah, no,
but some of these things. like-
Again, just for the logistical and programming, I'm just curious what conditions preceded. Who gets the second, who gets another set of us, because I know it's not us.
Mhm.
It's not designed to us.
Right. Some of these don't get a second set of eyes, I guess, is the answer to that, like, they're required to submit it. They submit it, we say we receive it, check, okay, that condition's been met. I'm not saying that for all of them,
Yeah,
but just
yeah.
where that applies.
Okay, so. For the list that Lisa's. Requesting just with an update on each condition that's still
Okay,
is
so,
alive, can you think that'll be, how, is that possible to have by Thursday?
and we don't have,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, sorry, I don't know why I keep thinking it's Thursday, my apologies.
I mean, we do have other
Of course you do.
duties
Yeah.
that we have to work on. And Billy's looking very stressed as I look across the room.
No, I can
But-
do it.
I mean, I think it's important. I think it's,
I mean,
John has already put together a pretty good document
Right.
that I can work off and eliminate a bunch of them right off the bat because
Well,
John has reviewed them. so-
yeah, but I would like them to stay in this format and
Yeah,
have you
no,
just
I can keep it in that. Yeah.
not delete them, just say this has been met.
Which
This has
one are
been
you
met.
looking at? Should I go right off the decision?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I wanted to go right off the decision in every number, just
Okay.
say, this one was met. See Chesia
So in-
thing, or
right,
this
just
one was
from-
met, don't even say see Chesia thing, this
Just-
one was met.
Just from
Okay.
this, like go.
No,
just
no,
add
from the
on to-
actual. The actual decision,
well,
The-
is it the same thing, does he, or is he edited out some of them?
no, I would prefer to use the Chesia document on
Me
this
too.
late breaking task that you'll requested, because he already went through and combined basically the two decisions.
Yeah,
And eliminated conditions that were modified by hack or.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking at.
Okay,
yeah, so it should, I agree, it should be the Chesia. Because that's where we started, and so that's,
Yeah, that's the document I'm looking at,
and then,
it's
And then-
dated, this one is May 3rd, but I don't know.
we have an updated one of this, so
Yeah,
I
it
know the
could
one you're
be.
talking about.
But it has every condition listed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking
Yeah.
of, so.
That's definitely what I was thinking of too. I forgot the fact that he had gone through and. Here's 52, there's another one about the fire department on 52. 51 is fire, 51 and 52 are fire.
have you looked at this one too?
Yeah, I don't like that one. Right, because it doesn't have every decision or every condition. It starts at 13. Or no change them. It'd just be nice to have it on in one thing.
Okay.
Because what happens is you have to go back and then look at all of them. So,
And I'm gonna use his document and create a whole new one, so it doesn't confuse you when you look at it.
I'm still looking for the HTC thing, and I know last.
so
week
I
You told me what number it was, and I wrote it down someplace, but there's so many.
What's the one that you have with the green on it?
that is actually my favorite one.
Is that the one where Bracken wrote on as well?
Yeah. That one is
What's the one I want to look at?
June 7th.
June 7th, okay.
So that's probably the most recent one, Billy, June
Yeah.
7th.
Yeah. And the highlights, I think we're just put in there to sort of dry your eyes to the new information.
Mhm.
So when I do this, I won't put any highlights, I'll structure it a little differently.
Yeah, maybe you can just highlight like this has been met in yellow and something in red that hasn't been met.
Yeah,
So we can look at it quickly.
either that or the number could just get the highlight on it, so
Exactly,
it's
and the
like,
color,
you
it's
know
like-
exactly what you're getting with each number.
Yeah. Okay, do we want to just go through how we want to change some of the wording in the letter then?
Sure.
Oh, after reading through this condition, making an application on building permits, it looks like we do still have a role. Now, with regards to the HOA documents, the easement, and everything else.
We still have a role, but the technical review is over. Right, that's,
I don't know what that means.
it means that the technical review ends the 28th, which means this review, like with concerns that we want to put through, or deficiencies, I guess is a better word, that we see in the plans, but the other stuff like the condo docs and any changes they make, those still come back to us, and we still.
Well, I think it's pretty clear we have an oversight role. Not necessarily technical, and a lot of these things we need to.
Yeah.
That's another reason to have a list, like, so we need to look at.
Yeah, our role can, I mean, we still are active in Sagem's Path, we're still active with Beach Plum Village, like
Right.
anytime they.
That's just, unless specific problems come up where that's not how it really fits.
I found the HGC
Oh, good.
condition, which it was buried in something else.
What condition is it in?
Condition 28 on page 17.
I was so close.
Of the original decision.
Oh, God, I had it circled too.
Any future proposed changes to the exterior architectural features shall be subject to the jurisdiction of the Nantucket Historic District Commission.
Okay, so we'll put that in between
Mhm.
17.1 and 30 will be 28 about the roof material having to be asphalt as approved by HAC in Exhibit 4. And that the solar panels require further HGC review. And, well, I don't know if you have to voice it, but I have a concern that the color of the asphalt should change.
Because it's the light gray.
And the solar panels will really stick out.
Yeah,
So maybe we can make that concern, just so that it's,
it can be noted,
yeah, I would note that concern.
it's atypical. What do they usually require?
Black.
Yeah.
That they go in. And having gone, like, yeah, I was in Hawaii, and when you see them on different colored roofs, they look horrible. They really show up. So I think it's a good rule.
Okay, so in between 17F and 30, you wanna add. Lisa. About the solar panels, it needs further HGC review.
Well, and also that the roofing material,
So it's number 28. Is that what we want to say, or do we want to say exhibit 4?
well, we're gonna put it under 28, right? Just because it references the HGC as well with the solar panels.
Yeah, but the problem is with the exhibit 4, not condition 28, but we can just say exhibit 4. And condition 28.
But it's also with the HGC. Because
Yeah, I
the
know, but-
material is.
Oh, okay.
Is an HGC. Concern. Again, if they decided they want to go to the HGC and ask for metal roofs, they can do that. We're just saying as a board. Well, I'm saying as a board, I don't know if anybody agrees with me, that's. Metal roofs are atypical.
I'm still confused about the HDC. I mean. I didn't think, I think it has to come through us.
Well, they did, hack approved exhibit 4, which basically shows all these buildings.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, can I speak to that,
is-
please?
That is HGC has approved exhibit 4. But with asphalt roofs and not metal roofs.
I just didn't know if it was us. You, with HTC's console.
It doesn't sound like we
No.
can consult HGC because exhibit 4 has gone through hack.
I think,
Madam Chair, can I address that, please?
sure,
Thank you. To clarify, if we do come back and propose solar on the roofs, it's going to require a modification that goes to the board. The board is obviously within its rights to refer the matter to the HDC to get their input, but ultimately the determination as to whether or not to grant the modification lies with the board, just as it did, with the initial application. You get feedback from other boards and commissions, but ultimately the decision-making lies with the board.
So that condition referencing going back to the historic, any future proposed changes to exterior architectural features shall be subject to the jurisdiction of the Nantucket Historic District Commission.
So you can't grant jurisdiction to another board that they don't already have. In this case, because this is a comprehensive permit, the Board of Appeals has jurisdiction, is sitting in the shoes for every other local board. So you would be the entity that would grant that permission. The way I would interpret that condition is to say that you would be in a position of having to refer it to the HDC for their input. As you did, and I believe, I wasn't involved at that point in time, but I believe there was a presentation made to the HDC as part of the initial permitting process. That could be the same process that gets followed if and when a request for modification for solar on the roofs is made. But at the end of the day, the decision has to come from the Board of Appeals.
And the way that's been handled with other 40Bs, and the language isn't as specific in this condition, but going back to the HDC has been applied to the individual homeowners once the developer has walked away from the project. So that way, like for instance, in Beach Plum,
Right, where
if
there's
someone
separate
wanted to
buildings.
change something, they wouldn't have to come back here and modify the whole permit. They would just go to HDC.
Right, this is a different animal
So this
because,
is- yeah.
well, I don't, it either, so I don't know, I still think we reference that condition.
Yeah.
In that any change in roofing material or addition of solar will come back to us for,
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying, and then we're probably just gonna
Yeah.
give it to the HDC.
yeah,
That's what I want to get clarification
okay,
on.
that's fine.
Thank you.
thank you. Did you hear anything from the fire department?
No.
All right, let's go, you want to just reword the parking thing, because you said something that made sense.
I did,
13E, yeah,
so
getting rid of concerned use.
just saying, yeah, oh, sorry. So just Nikki, delete the board is concerned that. And then just make the a capital
What was that?
on 13.
13E.
F, E,
Yeah.
sorry, I
Okay,
can't.
so I
see.
have the board believes the parking is inadequate based on this.
This is like a driver's ed test.
No, the parking
It's so-
is,
I don't think-
the parking is,
Yeah, the parking is
Insufficient.
insufficient. The
Okay.
parking plan is insufficient, so just get rid of the board, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words.
What was,
and then we were gonna say the board has concern as well. With. The help, the access of emergency vehicles. Given the insufficient parking. And the one-way streets.
so what was it approved? It was approved with specific parking?
Yeah, the exhibit C or 3 shows 299 parking spaces.
Mhm.
10 of which are for the visitors building,
Okay, so we're just saying
that's not, yeah,
it's not enough,
not enough.
but
Right.
I mean, I'd like to say not enough on a lot of these things.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is we can't say anything other than that we don't agree with it. So,
Madam Chair, can I address this really quickly as well?
Sure.
I just want to point out that the number of spaces on the plans that were approved by the Housing Appeals Committee is 283, I believe, and that was a result of the MIPA process, where MIPA required a certain number of spaces to be land banked. So they're shown on the plan, but they're not actually going to be constructed as part of the initial construction of the development. They would only be constructed at a later date if it was proved that they were necessary. And again, that was something that MIPA insisted upon.
so there's only 289 versus 299.
I think it's 283. Is the
And that
total.
includes the 10 for the guest parking.
Correct.
So that's 273 for, how many bedrooms did we say?
So,
It doesn't matter, I guess.
no, but it does matter because that's, again, that's why this is so confusing, because the plans that we've been looking at and the plans that were approved that shows the parking for this exhibit 4, which again, doesn't match.
None of this stuff's insane, actually, it's very confusing.
Because this one had, so the MIPA,
Oh, here.
the MIPA requirement came after the decision was approved by HAC. Paul?
MIPA decision was issued before the HAC issued its decision. The plans that show the reduction in the number of parking spaces were included with the Housing Appeals Committee. I can go find that plan and forward
Okay,
it to
because the
Leslie.
chart that was part of exhibit 4 does not reduce the number of parking based on what you just said.
No.
Yeah,
it-
so there was a subsequent change to those plans as part of the MIPA process that was put in front of the Housing Appeals Committee, and the Housing Appeals Committee based its decision on that plan. So I will find that and forward it to you.
I mean, that's just frustrating because we didn't get this exhibit 4 until way late in the process. And now we're about to make this decision. We've been talking about parking the entire time. And we're just finding out today that this, so there aren't 1.06 spaces per bedroom. And the numbers we've been looking at aren't even the real numbers. So I'm sorry, it was reduced to how many?
283.
That's
I
the,
believe it was 283.
and that's the amount that, so 1 parking space per bedroom for the
No,
entire,
minus 10,
or minus 10,
273.
273. Okay. Well, I guess, thank you for letting us know now.
Welcome.
2 days before the thing is supposed to close out.
It's a slow walk, you know.
It's just
Classic.
frustrating. All right, so I guess we should update, let's update.
Yeah, could we request an extension? Oh, no,
No,
I'm not gonna be on the board after.
I mean, we can, but they were, I believe they were very clear that they're not gonna give us any more extensions,
Now,
so.
does the building inspector, they have a number to?
Yeah, they'll have to put that number in and maybe we have to be specific on here, although, but, you know, again,
So-
do we need to list how many parking spaces were approved? As
No.
Billy has done, I think you put that
No.
there more for information for us.
No, I think,
Yes,
but I
that's
think
what
we
I thought.
just, I think it's just
I think
very frustrating, but I think we can just. The parking plan is insufficient based on the data provided and the,
But that's, I mean, I don't like that approach because. What is that?
no, I mean, I'm not done saying it, but I'm like, we can get rid, I mean,
We don't have
We
to
have-
list out the numbers.
we have the plan dated March 23rd, 2020 showing. Spaces, and that's not even, that's not the right plan. I'm not saying that to you, Billy, we're just finding out there is a different plan. I don't think it's based on the data provided. I think the parking plan is insufficient. Did you change it? The parking plan is insufficient based on density.
Well, initially we had based on density, number of bedrooms and location of dumpsters, that's what Lisa was mentioning.
Mhm.
So do you wanna keep that, or you wanna just have
So-
the parking plan is insufficient based on the data provided?
Is it,
Or
or
what is
just,
sufficient? Can we just put what sufficient is?
but I don't know
We
what
don't know what
sufficient
it
is.
is.
So that's.
It's
that's the
kind of,
problem. Like. So say we're the planning board, what do we do with?
But based on the planning board's numbers, it is sufficient. Which is
Oh.
ridiculous, but
Okay,
in my view,
Right.
because I don't think it's sufficient, but based on zoning, it is sufficient.
yeah, we just, the
But the
town just
zoning
voted.
bylaw doesn't really address the
No.
issue with parking.
No, because the town just voted to change the
Right,
parking count per bedroom just for duplexes
Oh,
or whatever,
no,
but changed it,
Yeah.
reduced it
reduced.
from to 0.75 per bedroom.
Which I think makes sense in a lot of zones, because I think if you have a single family house. Like on Orange Street, chances are, you're not gonna have multiple couples living in that building, but in certain areas, I think when you think about the actual use, it needs more. I think because it's hard to quantify how these. Units are gonna be used and rented, it's hard to quantify that amount. I think I just wanna make. I think to me, the point is that they've eked out so much building here. That the parking is so limited and that they haven't allowed for parking on the streets. And that is going to be a potential health and
So why don't
safety
we just
issue.
say that the building, the lot is. Used to its maximum, well, whatever you wanna say, but that, that they haven't left room for. Visitor parking, overnight guests. I mean, so,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, you guys are much better
well,
voice than this.
I'm not good at doing it on the fly like this, like on the screen. I need to like write it and scratch it out and write it, but. Right, that there's, they haven't left any room for on-street parking, visitors, overnight guests, any contingencies,
Yeah.
including emergencies.
Due to the size, scope and layout of the project, the board deems the parking to be insufficient. Because there's inadequate room for guests and for emergency vehicles.
Perfect.
Okay, so again.
but that's.
Everybody's talking.
But why do we think that? You know that from
It's because no, I think it
Well, I
looks
think-
like a duck, I
Yeah.
mean, you have 283 bedrooms and 273
Three
parking spaces.
I thought it'd go one per bedroom,
And some of these are 3-bedroom units.
and that's
Just
assuming.
without any specifics, I'm just against that. I mean, I would like to make these general statements with regard to buildings and, like, well, we think there are too many buildings or something. That's essentially what we're saying. Or we think there's too many bedrooms.
I don't know that we can say that, though. I guess we can't say anything about parking either, but I think it's at least making it known that we don't think it's safe. The
Yeah,
way
I
that it's been
I
planned.
think it's a different,
Okay,
I mean, because
I'm fine.
I don't disagree with you, because I think what we're trying to say is. This project is just way too dense.
yeah,
And-
I'm with you on that. I mean, I would like to make that statement. Overall. statement.
Well, I think John sort of did. You said due to the density.
The size, scope and density of the project.
The board deems the parking is sufficient,
Yes,
The whole project.
given,
Capital key project.
yeah. Given the. Then you said something about.
Is insufficient with respect to the parking because of the. I think I said because of the inadequacy of the number of spaces and ability for emergency vehicles to access the site.
you said something about guests.
Yeah,
too,
number
like
of
there's no,
guest parking.
there's no contemplation for guests or visitors.
And I think you could also make the statement that the one-way roads. That do not allow parking. Well, maybe that's, I was gonna say are have a potential to be, or maybe that's already inferred, that the one-way roads with no parking, when people will park there, will be blocking, potentially.
I think you can say that the. The logical next step is that people will park illegally on the road. Then if there's a fire, it's a one-way road. Emergency vehicles cannot access, it's a potential for a problem that that no one wants to. Talk about, or even they don't want to admit, not admit to, but the developer doesn't want to
Address.
entertain or address that contingency, which is highly likely,
So-
given the layout.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
can-
I mean, not the
can
fire,
we-
but people.
What is legal counsel? What is his suggestion on this?
Well, we can ask him, but I think from my notes when we've asked him before was that we write this letter with noting the deficiencies that we see, submit it with our wrapped up technical review, and the building commissioner then makes decision about whether he thinks that he can issue a building permit on this. We can ask George, but I have.
Sure.
Yeah, we can, but for my notes, I have note deficiencies on the final plans and issue a decision either. About the hack decision or the ZBA's decision with conditions amended conforms with final plans or conforms but for noted issues or doesn't conform. That's what our three options are.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can I suggest on this that, and you can certainly ask George for other ideas, but maybe just include your concern and suggest that the applicant address it during their condo association management plan documents you'll look at later, like how they're going to address the on-street parking. That perhaps they post it, no parking, which maybe that's in here somewhere, there's a lot of stuff.
But when does that?
yeah. So George, do you want to address Jim's question about? What was your question, Jim?
How to
Just specifically what you want him to address.
address these issues like with parking where it's not clear. Or if we get into this whole, we don't think, and I'm in agreement with everybody. If we get into this whole, well, we just don't think this is right, not based on anything. Yeah, not based on anything, but not based on specifics. Then it just opens it up for a lot of these issues. And my question is just how do we address those things?
George,
I mean, my recommendation is still, somehow everybody has become a white snowman on my screen. I don't know. Can you see me or hear me?
yes, we can see you and hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add other than what you, Susan, and Leslie just described. I mean, this is at the stage where you have to, applying the conditions that remain under the original approval, conformance of these final plan submissions with the conditions of approval, and note any deficiencies where you see them, mainly based on the technical consultant's review and his recommendations to you. You want to focus on technical issues. You can't raise new issues. If there was a recent fire that the board is now concerned about, this is not the forum to raise, new evidentiary issues to the applicant. So the conditions of approval are as they are, as amended by the HAC. That's what you have to go by. I think the best you can do is to note any technical deficiencies in that letter if you see any. And then you're going to have to leave it to the building inspector as to what to do with that when the applicant applies for that building permit. I mean, it's not going to do the applicant any good to leave legitimate issues unresolved for that process. So they are going to have to address, legitimate issues that you bring up. As to further approvals or anything like that, I agree with what Paul had said earlier, that this is within your jurisdiction. So if something comes back by way of a modification, you're still going to be the jurisdictional board to deal with that. And you can receive recommendations from other local boards and committees, such as HTC, as to whether you should accept something as a minor modification, or if it should require a public hearing, and then go forward with the public hearing on that if you find that it's a substantial project change. And one other thing I would do is I would just make sure that you, whatever final draft you come up with, you do want to be able to have the board vote by your voting members as to whether, you know, they agree with the final decision, you know, the written letter that you're preparing that goes to the developer. I don't know if I can be any more helpful than that, and I apologize if that's a little vague, but that's about the best we can do.
But so I brought up I didn't mean to put new conditions on. I brought up the fire just to relay the importance of our fire department view. That's why, not to bring that up.
Yeah, and I certainly wasn't being critical. I'm just using that as an example of like something that might be new evidence as opposed to just looking at, you know, the conditions of approval as they exist.
With regard to parking, it doesn't sound like, well, we haven't seen the plan. It doesn't sound like we know the number. And the number's insufficient. I think we all agree, but we don't even have a number.
But we don't have, and we didn't have a technical review of the parking.
Right, because the plan wasn't.
So I don't know that we can respond to a technical review on that. I think that that's more just instinctual,
And
which I,
my concern about the parking and just a general comment is like, no one can review that, either the building inspector or the developer say what, you know. Just, it wouldn't prompt them to do anything or not do anything. Certain, I know. It goes to a broader concern that now we bring in everything. With a broader concern.
So I think,
I guess what I'm getting at
Yeah.
is to be more specific.
Yeah, you'd want to look, what are the conditions of approval though on the parking? And then is the final plan not conforming with that, or are they leaving it open? Then you should note that. But I don't have the condition in front of me about what ended up being approved for parking.
so
Like an amount per
right, so
unit.
now,
or-
so I guess we could note that, that's a good
Yeah.
point. We could note that as of today, we just learned that the parking reflected on Exhibit 4 and is different than the MIPA decision required. And that,
You think, we don't do that. But, and then include your general statement.
yeah, so that the parking plans, the plans for parking do not match.
Yeah, then that would have to be noted.
They don't match
That-
the hack approved plans.
That has to be noted. I mean, that would clearly be a deficiency that has to be corrected.
I need to step in here. The hack approved plans include the parking plan that was ultimately approved through MIPA. I just forwarded that plan to Ms. Snell, so you do now have it. I misremembered the number of spaces that were on that plan. The 283 was actually the number of spaces that are required. That plan actually shows 291 spaces inclusive of the 10 for the community building. So it is 291 spaces. The plans are completely consistent with what the HAC approved. But most importantly,
How?
I understand the board's concerns regarding the sufficiency of parking, and my client wanted more parking on this project as well, which is why there were a greater number of spaces originally depicted. MIPA wanted fewer spaces, and the number of spaces are consistent with those required by the town of Nantucket for this type of development. So at the end of the day, there's really nothing that we can do. We don't have any ability to provide additional parking, even if we wanted to, because that would require us to get MIPA to change its mind. And their goal was a reduction in the amount of impervious area around the property. So, I mean, you know, we're sort of trying to please multiple parties here, and it's very difficult, but we think that, you know, this is an appropriate amount of parking.
Well, from my perspective, there is a plan with a number.
Yeah,
So.
and we, I think respectfully, of course, you guys think it's appropriate amount of parking, but we don't.
Yeah, and you have to go
No,
by
understood.
what,
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
ended up with the conditions.
Yep,
On with the HAC conditions. If it doesn't match that, it doesn't matter what MIPA says or what the developer says, it has to be resolved.
so what I have from Hack shows 299 parking spaces provided. And I can look and see with Chesia, what the parking,
What number would that have been?
I don't know, I'm gonna look,
Chesley's.
I'm gonna look right now.
Does he remember?
Parking, we talked about it in the beginning, actually, it's in the beginning of my notes, because I remember we talked about bedrooms and parking in the first meeting. Yeah. 283, 299. I think it might be.
Access roads must be 20.
Nikki, do you have this in a Word document like up?
What's that?
Just, of course, I'm thinking of this now when we're almost done, but like, we should have just had this where we could like search a Word document every time for the words that we're interested in, instead of flipping through pages, but next time.
Maybe somebody on the, does John know where the parking is?
What are you looking at, Susan?
We're
I'm looking for parking.
Parking.
No, what's the document that you?
Oh, I'm looking at, with,
That Chesia?
yeah, but his doesn't have everything, so if the parking didn't change, then it wouldn't
That's what I want.
be on this.
Oh, all right. Parking for special review.
Stuff here, so I can come on.
Control.
Yeah.
I know, I'm trying to remember where I made my first notes, because.
It's one of the yellow highlights.
Right, Susan?
What?
That's the one.
I was looking at that, but if it doesn't say any, if parking wasn't changed, then the yellow one doesn't have that.
There shall be no additional parking or expansion of parking areas beyond parking areas shown in comprehensive permit plans. So it references the
Where's that?
24 references the parking areas shown on the comprehensive permit plan, but there's
But the comprehensive permit, and that says what? There shall be no
no
additional
additional
or
parking,
expansion,
which makes sense.
so,
But it doesn't talk about the number.
okay, so that doesn't, so that, to me, I read that and I'm like, the MIPA plant, the MIPA doesn't matter.
Right,
Because that, to that one, because that one's saying expansion,
right.
where the parking
Exactly.
spaces are already on there, they're just not being used unless they're gonna be needed, which
Well, we didn't even have any reference to exhibit 4 in John and Chesia's.
we didn't have it.
You didn't have it, so I just sort of feel like, don't we base it on exhibit 4? Because that's the only thing we have. I don't think it's listed on in here. I don't think there is anything about parking. I think we just talked about the number of bedrooms relative to the parking, maybe. I wrote the number of bedrooms.
We did, we wrote about the park, in the first meeting, made this little. It's all good. We talked about bedrooms. Did they meet parking and didn't they meet the burn? So where do you? This is for 28, there's 320. That's not, this is the old one, but that's what we have. Thank you. Is this, are these 157 for me?
This is the one. All right.
So the blue ones are not to be constructed. And then those red ones are removed. So the landscape plans that we have don't reflect those changes.
No.
So none of the plans are coordinated to that.
Yeah. Okay, so we can make that a note of that on this
Mhm.
letter, that the plan we received today, the 26th of June. Does not. That's dated 6/15/20 to revise the parking. This is dated- I'm sorry, this is dated
6/15 when you guys knew about this before. It went to hack.
I
6/15/20,
Yeah,
see.
and that's, so that's after.
that was after the hack
These
decision.
revisions are March 31st, 2003, May 9th, 2003, May 18th, 2003. They don't have any of these parking.
And I thought Paul had said that they had gone to NEPA and gone that before the,
So, okay, so the plans revised.
Hold on.
The building permit set revised March 31st, 2003 does not match the. Layout plan. Approved by MIPA revised 6/15/20. Does not match the exhibit 4 plan. Yep.
George, how we should be with this.
George, do you have suggested language?
I have lost now the issue that you're talking about. I know you're talking about parking.
So we have a plan here that Paul just sent that is dated June 15th, 2020. That I think, Leslie, can you email it to Paul? And it shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parking spaces that are removed. And a bunch, 4, 8, 10 parking spaces that are to be land banked. And this changes the amount of parking to 291.
well, they just said 283.
But Paul said he had the wrong number.
Oh, okay.
291 total, including the 10 spaces for the community building, so 281 spaces for condo parking. And this also changes the usable open space, vegetated area, and the total impervious area, it looks like. So
Well-
this exhibit 3 doesn't match exhibit 4. Or this, sorry, it says exhibit 3, but this June 15th, 20 plan does not match the parking on the plans that we've been provided that are dated March 30, the latest one, March 31st, 2003.
Or the exhibit 4 plan.
Or, I mean, 23, sorry, 23.
Yeah, my
Sorry,
question,
Sorry,
Or the
Right.
exhibit 4 plan dated March 23rd, 2020.
right.
yeah, my question was going to be is, have you confirmed which of those plans is the one that was referenced in the HAC proceeding? They had a group of exhibits that
thought
constituted
it
the
was
final
the-
plans.
I thought that was exhibit 3.
Yeah,
Or-
exhibit 3 is the one that was talked about in the hack decision.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like the final plan conforms with that.
No, it does
Right,
not.
so we're asking you like, what's the language you suggest that we put in our,
That's an issue. This does not conform with the approved plans.
Exhibit 3.
okay, so parking doesn't. Parking doesn't, parking doesn't confirm with the approved plan.
Okay.
Yeah. The final
The final
parking plan
approved
does
plan.
not comply with the approved plan.
Say that again, George.
What I'm trying to express is the final proposed plan that is this latest March one, I think, does not comply with the approved plan set.
Right, okay, so the June 15th. Layout plan is the which is the most recent, does not conform
Really exhibits.
Correct.
with the approved, with the hat approved plan.
Because that's all that's within your purview now is to confirm the final plans with the conditions of approval for the final approved plan set.
Well,
Okay.
at least we got to that in a very roundabout way, but.
If I may, I think that
Hi.
this is John Chesia speaking, if I may. So the Exhibit 3 plan has the 299 spaces.
Right.
Yeah,
This new plan is, so the plans that are currently submitted and the latest go around dated the 22nd, and the Exhibit 3 plans have the same parking, but this new plan of June 15th, 2020, that's the one with the different parking.
That's right.
right,
Okay, I just want, because that, it wasn't clear that that's how that was being described. I just wanted to make sure.
okay, thank you.
I mean, that's how I understood what you were describing to me.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
I
Which
think that's
means
what our understanding is.
Yeah, which means it doesn't comply.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think does not comply.
Okay.
So do we just write under 13E, do we get rid of our talking about that we don't think is sufficient? We just say that this, can we still say? we
Well, I
don't
think
it's
the first,
sufficient?
I think the first sentence should be the final proposed plan dated 6/15/23 does not comply with the hack approved plan set. And then we can then have a return and then,
I would think to anticipate.
do you want to say the
I-
board believes the parking plan is insufficient or just say the parking plan is insufficient?
Yeah, I think that's,
Yes, it's
Just the
correct.
park-
It's not
the parking plan.
insufficient. It doesn't comply.
Yeah, but we're talking
we're
about,
talking about our,
yes, yeah,
It doesn't comply because the issue is what happens next
say
is
additionally, the parking plan is insufficient.
sorry, you're looking at the draft, are you?
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
screen?
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to
It's okay.
talk over you while you were
No,
doing
no,
that.
it's okay. It's fine. Zoom is tough.
Question, who dropped?
Because query what happens next. I mean, are they going to seek a modification?
There would be a need for a modification. What there would be a need for us is to actually submit the final plans that are consistent with the plans that were approved by the Housing Appeals Committee,
Good.
which is the landscaped land bank parking plan. I know that Ryan is reviewing that right now. Unfortunately, Don isn't on the call, so he's not available to respond to that, but one way or the other, we will get you a response to that question. But the plan that was approved by the Housing Appeals Committee is the land banked parking plan. So that's what the final plan should depict.
That's not.
but that's
okay.
not what we were given as Exhibit 3 that the Housing Appeals Committee approved. We were given a document that shows 299 spaces.
It
Well,
doesn't.
what you were given then did not include the full spectrum of plans that were actually reviewed and approved by the Housing.
Right,
supposed
which
to
is
review
exactly
this.
what we've been
This is
saying.
ridiculous.
It's good you would.
Admitted that.
I mean, you guys have been saying all along, these are the final plans, these are the final plans, these are the final plans, but then we keep getting new plans.
How are we
Whoops,
supposed
we
to
forgot.
fix this?
So it's just, you have to appreciate our frustration at this point that it's June 26th. And we're getting this plan and now you're saying, oh yeah, well, this was always meant, that'll be included in the final plans when we've been told for the last however long. over 2 months now, no, you guys are looking at the final plan, stop asking for more stuff, this is it, this is the final set, this is it, and it's not. So it's just, it's hard to make a decision and finish this when things keep changing. And not changing because things are submitted, changing because we've asked and asked and asked and asked and asked, and then this, like you just said, or Jim, this roundabout way, we come to find out there's less parking than we even thought there was.
Okay.
I just wanted, through you, Susan,
Sure.
does our lawyer have any comment on this? Like,
I do. You have to leave it. I think you've already summed it up. You're being asked for the decision by the 28th. You can go on what's before you now. You can't go on a finding for what may or may not be submitted in terms of final plans. So what you're doing is you're looking at the final plans that are before you. And then you're going back and comparing it to what was approved as the approved final plans through the HAC decision. And you either either it complies or it doesn't. And you're gonna have to issue that at this time.
should we acknowledge that we did not receive the final plans that were approved by the decision until 2 days before our decision was to be made? I
Well,
think we should go.
I think we have to say it differently, though. I think we have to say that we were issued Exhibit 3 plans, which were referenced in the decision. What, 2 months ago?
Yeah, I guess we just say what our review is based on. Our review is based on.
Yeah,
Or
I
yours
would,
submitted.
one thing I'd suggest, I'd be very careful because it's sounding like you don't want things to get lost in the translation about talking about how long you've been waiting and frustration and all of this. The fact is you got a technical review going on.
Mhm.
Either those final plans are final plans which comply with the approved plan set or they don't. And I would just issue that decision focused on those technical compliance issues. And not, not have it become so confusing with extraneous commentary and editorial comments that you lose what the real issues are. I mean, because you're going to need that final plan.
How do we know, because we were given Exhibit 3 as a plan that HAC approved? How do we know? Isn't there a plan that's dated that says sent to HAC with this decision? So that we know that that is the plan that went to HAC?
But I think what he's.
No, that part,
Oh,
I have to say, that was provided to you as part of this process. Whether or not it became confusing or not. In other words, there's a distinct exhibit in the HAC proceeding that was
Right.
referred
So
to
how do
and
we-
incorporated.
can
So
we-
either you have that or you don't.
Well, we don't know if we have it. We've been told we have it, but it has 299 spaces, and now Paul, Mr. Haverty was saying that the plan that they approved has 291 spaces, so we don't know.
You have to look at it. What, is he showing you a plan that
We don't
you have to
know.
look at?
We
it?
don't
That
know,
was in-
we don't know, because we just handed these plans, so.
George,
George, can you
It was-
just look up in the decision what the plan looks like and show it to us?
It was Exhibit 72 in the HAC proceeding. for the
Well,
record.
that doesn't mean anything to me because I don't have that.
I know that staff provided it to you early on.
Right.
And that's what
the
you,
one that shows 299 parking spaces.
then that's what you're going by.
That's, I'm
Yeah.
just making that point. That is the plan that we're, and whether or not there is another plan that has 291 spaces.
Right, so we're saying, so we focus on the Exhibit 3 plan. As what HAC approved. This new plan here that we just got does not comply with that, so we can make note that deficiency, and then. What Paul is saying, that it was submitted to HAC or it was approved by HAC, then they'll have to reconcile that.
Well, all I'm saying is it would be helpful to see in the decision from HAC, the actual plan that is listed as Exhibit 72. Not just somebody printing out something for us so that we can say this was condition 72, this is the plan that they looked at, because I don't know if this is the plan that they actually looked at or if it's different. How do I know?
That's very well said.
Yeah, I have nothing to compare it to, and
Yeah.
hopefully the staff has done that.
Do we have the hack plan?
Somebody's got to have the HAC plan.
So George, here's my concern with your role. You were involved You are our lawyer. The decision came down, that's a legal document, and we don't have what should have been attached, and I just want to go on record and say that, you know, he's put us in this bad position.
No, hang on.
Not providing us with the.
No. We're gonna
I don't
stop
think it was
right
his-
there.
I don't think it was
I'm
his.
not-
job.
I was notified by Leslie very early on about the final plan review, and Leslie confirmed through staff and provided the plans to you. Don't give me this nonsense that on the day of the deadline, I'm telling you that there are things that are missing.
Yeah.
That's not true at all. I relied on whatever staff provided to the board, assuming that everything was provided. If you want me to go through the exhibits with the HAC decision, I'm happy to do it.
Yes, you represent. us.
Nobody
You
asked
should
me to do it
reconcile.
until now, so don't go saying that your
I
counsel
understand.
has left you in a bad state.
Guys,
I'm not
George,
gonna
you should
listen to that
reconcile.
nonsense anymore. That's enough is enough of it.
Reconcile what came down from the decision with what we're looking.
When
at.
did you ask me to provide that, Jim?
We don't know what we don't know, George. We don't know that what we're looking at is not the final decision. That's
What are you
your.
talking about? What are you talking about? That
okay,
was the whole thing that John Chesia went through, was the conditions from the HAC approval,
Yeah, and he was looking at.
Comparing it
plans
to
that
the
were not part of the-
overturned approval.
okay, okay.
You've had it before you for months.
We're not gonna, I don't wanna go down this rabbit hole again. I think that we rely on the exhibit 3 that we were provided as the final plan with the hack decision, and then
So what is the building inspector approved? What does he go out and count parking spaces? Not that he does.
yeah.
What is he basing that on?
I'm not, I can't,
I'm not asking-
no, I don't know. I don't know what
That's
this.
what we're trying to get to, which I think, I mean, I'm not suggesting that it was, you
What,
know, whose
whatever he,
responsibility it is,
whatever
it's
he
just-
looks at when he issues
Well, I think,
any building.
I know,
Decision.
but this is a very specific thing. I mean, any building decision for parking for residential is very easy. This is very different. So I think just having a copy to make sure that the plan that they reference as number 72, exhibit 72, it should have, in my mind, this should have been stamped HAC exhibit 72 by the HAC, so that we knew that this was the plan
Mhm.
that was attached. There should be a copy of that plan that's stamped and dated and recorded.
It certainly is. It's in the legal
Right.
decision. There
So-
should be all that there. I just want to go on record. We don't know what we have on this decision.
I know, I don't, I'm not saying that. it's
That's a
any
different issue now. Lisa, that's a different issue. You're saying, are you unclear about what the approved plan is from HAC? Or are you
Yeah.
saying that what they've submitted as a final plan does not conform?
No, well, a little of both. I was saying that I'm confused as what we've been given as exhibit 3 is actually the plan that Hack saw, because there's nothing on this that says Hack saw this plan, Hack approved this plan. There's nothing that states that.
Yeah, and I
And
assume
it's
you've,
insufficient based on the new plan that we just got today.
Mhm.
right. I assume you've had that since the beginning because staff put it all together for you.
Well,
About what was the approved plan set through HAC?
well, we were given a plan. Again, we don't know if there's nothing on it that says it's the approved plan set through HAC.
Right, there wouldn't be. It would be whatever the official exhibit was that was incorporated in the decision.
Fine, it should be like-
That's what we're looking for is the decision, because wouldn't that be referencing a date on a
Well, the
plan?
decision's right here. I'm looking at it.
The plans were exhibits in the proceeding, which are referenced in the decision.
Right, and there, so I'm thinking it's dated September. February 28th. Plan set is exhibit 3 is what we've been given. That's what Billy just printed for me as exhibit 3.
For this says, hold on, back. Blah, 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 blah. Says exhibit 3, this
Sheet 4,
sheet 4.
that doesn't give a date.
3 sewer force mains on or near the housing site on exhibit 3, sheet 4. That's the first time I see exhibit 3 referenced.
Here, yeah, I mean, again, but it's not. It's- I mean, sheet 3 is what shows the layout plan on exhibit 3.
What sheet 3?
Sheet 3 is what shows the layout and the parking.
This is sheet 3, right? 39.
Sheet 3 says summary of areas. Sheet 3, let's say summary of areas.
This is sheet 2.
Where's sheet 3?
That's layout plan.
So this says sheet 3 is supposed to be summary of areas. 4. And it's supposed to show.
Let's see, that's 4.
Let's see if this number is right here. Summary of areas, yeah, okay. All right, so that looks like that number matches up,
So,
but it doesn't, but it doesn't,
Exhibit 30, but it should be,
but it doesn't match up with the parking. stuff.
exhibit 3 says. Plan prepared by Bracken Engineering in February 28th, 2020.
So is it this?
And that's what they have.
Yeah, so that's what we have, and that has 299 parking spaces. So that's what we're going.
That's what it was.
So it doesn't comply,
Exhibit 3.
299.
I believe, right? 200 Well, that's what was in exhibit 4, so I'm assuming that complies with exhibit 4, but who knows?
This says 299. This one right here.
This one says 297 spaces and 11 spaces for the clubhouse building, total provided parking 308 spaces. And that's my exhibit 3. sheet
But you're
3.
looking at the new one, Jim, that's dated 6/15, that's the new one.
But I thought these plans were, okay, so hold on, because I thought that these plans. There were new plans dated 3/20/23.
So this says 308 spaces.
Yeah, so that doesn't, so the hack approved plans don't match.
The exhibit 4,
Or exhibit 4 or the landscape plan. Or the MIPA plan.
so based on the hack plan, we should
There
be 308 spaces, 10 of
11.
which, 11 of which were for the clubhouse.
Yeah,
And 297 spaces was for condo parking.
yeah.
And now we're down to 291. That's 27.
And this one
that's
says,
17 spaces.
this one says total parking spaces 308, minimum accessible parking is 8 and minimum 1 van. Provided parking, okay, that matches 20 accessible and 6 van. So that those don't match.
Okay.
All right,
So have we
new
confirmed you
people-
have the plan?
We have
We
confirmed that we have the right plan.
We think we
Good.
have the right plan,
Willie
But it-
pulled
Good,
up.
good to hear.
but it doesn't match.
It doesn't match anything.
It doesn't.
Right. Right, there's 2 issues. Do you have the plan to compare it to, and does it
Yes.
comply? And it
Right.
sounds like you have the plan.
We have the plan and it doesn't comply.
Good.
Is it yours?
No, it's a little might have been. Just come up with this. whole file.
So now that, we see, so what does this blue represent? They're not gonna be parking spaces?
They can be cut in later, I think it says something if they're needed.
If necessary.
I think
And
they're
do you
just,
know if, the dumpsters are located on?
they're not located on this because they weren't shown.
Well, I mean, on any of these,
Where they are, where they're shown,
no, they're,
where the
Things
parking,
about-
yeah. I have to look at that dumpster plan.
Are these the dumpster plans?
They were an America plan, I think.
because I don't think, can anyone answer that? I mean, I'm just.
No, I was
Sure.
thinking that too, though.
There's not a-
I think you're, I know you're about it.
Well, I have a bunch of notes.
Maybe someone from their team could answer that.
Yeah.
Oh, here I have it.
They're-
Yeah, Mirka, do you know do you have this plan with the land banked spaces on it?
I try to figure it myself, but. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? What plan exactly?
So the plan that you did that shows all the dumpsters on it and the mail. Are those spaces, the blue and the red ones, the land banked and the removed spaces, are those conflicting with location of where a dumpster is?
I just don't know what you are comparing. Could you maybe share the screen so I can see what you compare?
Yeah, sure.
They don't,
And which set of my plans do you have in front of you? Is it, we submitted the updated where I kind of just adjusted the dumpster location just to your last
what
comment?
date was that?
I just submitted, we submitted on Friday. It should be dated today.
Okay, so that's the path, yeah, I have it.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the same.
Make sure. I'm picking up on
Yeah.
it.
So I updated the location of dumpsters so they were not conflicting with the parking per your initial comments. But I cannot answer the question Susan is asking about my parking reflects the same plan what Don Bracken's package would provide. I just adjusted the location of the dumpsters there, or accessible from the parking or from the walkway. Okay, so
Father, you got a call, a ticket to the laptop is not connecting.
Yeah, not this one though.
It's under those papers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ina.
See the dumpster.
I think the dumpsters are, this is.
See the dumpster plan.
I think it's those guys there.
Was there another one, John? I'm sorry. I
Wasn't
don't
it
have it.
that showed though, the detail?
Yeah.
That had the little,
Those.
I guess.
Yeah,
So I guess it's not. It's not located in the parking, so it's.
oh, here, recycling shed.
yeah, they don't seem to be in conflict with these parking spaces. Although it might make sense, frankly, to put them where these parking spaces are being moved because of the access question of getting to.
Mhm. But okay, all right, so,
Yeah.
but that's. Okay. What do you pick your kids up from camp? What time, 2:30? Yeah, me too. Okay. So, all right, so. At this point, do we want to?
I think we just stick to whatever your recommendation.
Which I think we're already put in, right?
And John's.
Yeah.
I did get a response from the fire chief.
Oh, great.
He said that he thinks that they completed their review. He just needs to confirm that with Joe Townsend.
Okay.
Who's not in the office today.
Okay. But no, like. Okay. All right.
I just had a question. I know we have to leave and maybe it is we got the construction phasing schedule.
Mhm.
I know that this project has to be done within 3 years, right? That was one of the
Yeah.
comments. So what happens when it says phase 3? This phase is expected to take 12, the buildings can be affected by market conditions. So we'll never be slower than finishing the whole project in 3 years. You're saying it's the buildings can be affected by market conditions, and if there's a faster pace set, work would go to the next phase. I just want to make sure that what happens if market conditions are bad and none of these are being sold. The project has to be done within 3 years, or what happens to those different phases that are going to be left as barren construction sites? So this obviously is pretty specific about the dates of phase one. It doesn't say what the potential dates of all the other phases are. It just says 12 to 18 months to complete, but it doesn't say when they're gonna start. So I'd like some more information on that, and then also just explanation of what they mean by market conditions and how that can affect the, because it says phase two, depending on market conditions, this phase can include fewer or additional buildings. And if it were additional buildings, it would have to come from the next sequential phase. But what does market conditions mean? I mean, I know what it means. Yeah, I know what it means, but it's how will it affect the completion of the project and what the project will look like if market conditions aren't favorable? You want Paul?
Madam Chair.
I want somebody to answer.
Yeah, okay.
Madam Chair, so this is a condition, that does impose a 3-year time period. It's probably not realistic to complete this project within that 3-year time period, but it's premature for us to request any extensions of it. But if we did get to that point, it would be incumbent upon us to request a modification to extend the time for completion of the project. It's pretty typical in this sort of circumstance.
You want to address her question about market conditions?
Well, market conditions are going to be, obviously, if market conditions are favorable, we're going to be moving through getting these sold more quickly and therefore constructed more quickly. And if they're not favorable, then it's going to take a longer period of time. And you can't build this any more quickly than the market will allow.
But you're given through HAC a timeframe of 3 years.
Well, no, the Housing Appeals Committee requires commencement of construction within 3 years, not completion of construction.
Completion within 3 years.
No, but there may have been something in your decision.
Well, no, well, Leslie's looking it up.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, I read that too. It's completion within 3 years.
Yeah.
But again, you have the right to come and ask for an extension, and
We have the right to say no if the conditions aren't, I mean, if it looks like it's not gonna be a sightly project.
Or you're saying the phasing plan is totally market based.
Other than the first phase, looks like it.
Is that right? Mr. Average?
Sorry, what was the question?
So the phasing plan is totally marketing based.
Absolutely, yes. As it would be in any sort of development. It's, you're limited to what the market can absorb in a particular period of time.
Well, that was just, you don't build half a building in Boston,
No, I mean, if it were a different
And-
project, like
build an infrastructure.
Surfside, like Sage's Path.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a little bit easy to absorb. You know, one house not being started or. But this is again, this is a very different scope of project and density, so I think we have to get clarity on that.
The other thing I wanted that was not addressed in this is I didn't think the sewer connection was finalized, was it?
It was not the amount that they're gonna have to pay. That has to go to the town, so I don't think we have anything to say about that, although I would encourage
So,
the developer not to pay.
is that right? So we know how they're gonna connect.
no, I think they don't know yet. Remember, they were saying.
No, I
they were-
thought that the sewer, David Gray said he really wanted them to connect via the
Yeah.
gravity line,
Yeah,
and that he would leave it up to the town to negotiate how much the developer was paying,
yeah.
as I thought was the last correspondent.
Well, to me, that's an open issue.
Well, I think that,
Either,
Have we made,
it's either defined or not. I don't know.
what?
The money's not really part of your payment.
No.
No,
Funny,
but-
I wanna know,
I
I
think,
wanna know what.
well, so we should, maybe we should say in our letter that it has to be done via gravity.
What was agreed to or what was in the decision? George?
The Housing Appeals Committee decision allows the connection as proposed by the developer, but also allows for the potential for some sort of agreement between the town and the developer for the alternative connection. And we're happy to keep that alternative open as we move forward.
Yeah.
And on just on that, I was looking again through the water. The town did get a permit for that. For
Yeah.
that increase.
Yeah, I did see that.
Did we just get this today?
Is that the fire?
Yeah,
radius thing?
No, I think that.
That came out last week.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I
June
dated it.
13th.
Yeah, I dated it the 13th, but I just was trying to make sure.
What is this? Is this yours? What's that one? That's the
Uh,
phasing.
wait,
Oh, yeah, you have that same one.
yeah.
So, Madam Chair, what are our next steps?
So the staff's gonna work on the list that Lisa requested and maybe editing up the letter. We'll hopefully you guys can email it to us and then people could read it, comment, edit, send them back. And then we'll meet on Thursday and
Wednesday.
Oh my gosh, what?
At what time is?
We've noticed a meeting for Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And so we will meet on Wednesday, not Thursday. Saying that, and then we will finish up this and vote whether to approve the plan or say it doesn't conform or say it conforms with some deficiencies.
So, and just to clarify.
Yep.
On our role. So in a lot of these conditions, like the conditions preceding were referenced as, for instance, final approval, construction plans and all.
Mhm.
So all that has our approval, we're gonna see that, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think, you mean in the list that the staff is going to do?
Yeah, so like, for instance, HOA documents.
That won't be in the letter, though. That's a separate process
No,
than the technical. Oh, yeah,
I'm just,
yeah.
so. Like that's review and approval by the board.
Mhm.
So all that, same with construction plans.
But that's post-construction, right? The HOA.
It's just later on in the process.
Especially with the pre-construct, the conditions preceding. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that this review that we conducted didn't cover that we're still reviewing.
Yeah, because the first meeting when we went through all the conditions, there was a bunch of stuff that came up that we were like, that comes later, right? Like,
Right.
let's focus on what we need to do for the 28th of June, and then the rest of that we'll deal with after.
And because we spent so much time on the parking issue, we didn't get to talk about the new drainage plans that were, and John's. Maybe John can write what he thought about the new drainage plans relative to the basement walkout areas and.
Well, John, I looked at they don't make any, like, I don't know how to read those, so, did you have any, John, feedback on those?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I got them. I did take a look at them over the weekend, and I am trying to update all of my stuff so that you'll have that, hopefully. Depending upon how long we go here, I'm gonna try to get some stuff together by the end of the day. But I had a couple of issues, I think, with it. So essentially what happens is they did provide details for each building. And it showed, they did provide the grading, they did provide elevations and all the drainage. So they did all that stuff that I think is necessary. There's a couple of areas where I think there's some conflicts from a constructability point of view. And I will include those notes. I mean, a couple of them, the systems are right up against retaining walls, and the way the detail shows the footing would impact either be in or above the systems, such that you couldn't really repair them and excavate them, which may be required sometime in the future, without damaging the wall. I think they need to look at that aspect and maybe do some modifications. Another one is 4 feet up from the roadway parking system. And it's 4 feet difference in elevation. So digging up one's going to impact the other because it's going to fall into the hole. So I think that's an issue as well. Other than that, those are the main sort of things. I mean, there's still, we have a difference of opinion on setbacks, but I do think from a constructability point of view, those are real issues that should be changed on the plans.
Well, I think this should be reworded then to include his specific
Concerns.
concerns.
Okay.
When we get them.
When we get them, I agree.
So that it can be identified.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
Makes sense.
okay.
Okay.
I found the condition
Which
about
one?
in your original comprehensive permit,
Mhm.
condition number 136.
Mhm.
Said the applicant shall complete construction within 3 years from the date of this permit becoming final, unless such time shall be extended in writing by the board for good cause not to be unreasonably withheld.
Okay.
So unless that was modified in the PAC decision somewhere,
Yeah, Jones, but a mile away.
then that's what that says.
Okay.
So that'll be just addressed in the list as to. Presuming if it shows up in John's combination, it'll be addressed. Okay.
Does anyone have anything else they want to add at this time? No. Okay, so would someone make a motion to adjourn for today?
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Okay. Myself, I, Lisa.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll see you guys at 2 o'clock on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Wednesday.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
you.
Thank you.